Hey everyone, welcome back to another JT Talks Jobs. This is the show where we help you grow your career in every way possible. We're on a mission to help 1 million people in 2020 grow their careers, and this is the way that we're doing it. So, welcome to the show. Before I get started, I always love a couple of friendly reminders. First of all, be sure to, if you want to be able to ask questions and talk to us, you've got to follow us. So, there are a couple ways you can do that. You can follow us over on LinkedIn. All you have to do is follow my profile over there. That will send you instant notifications when we're going live. And the same thing happens over on our Work It Daily YouTube channel. So if you want to follow us on YouTube, hit the notification bell. And that way, again, you'll know when we go live. And that's how you can participate with us each and every time, which is super fun. And I love to mention that if you want to watch past recordings and see all the great free resources and information we're giving out about job search and career development, you want to follow the hashtag JT Talks Jobs. In fact, so excited to say we already broke 600 followers on LinkedIn with that hashtag. It's only been up for a couple of weeks. So thank you, everybody that's following. And for those of you that aren't, we use it on all social media channels. So whatever your favorite preference is, be sure to follow that hashtag and you'll get all the latest information on demand. All right. So today we're going to be talking about career mistakes and how to bounce back from them. But before I do that, I have to show you something cool. Do y'all know what this is? Take a look. Do you know what this is? Look at how thick this is. Just going to get in there and show you all. Look at how thick that is. This, my friends, is what $500 in Starbucks gift cards looks like. That's right, $500 in Starbucks gift cards. And the reason I'm getting to hold these in my hand is because they reached out to us as part of the fact that Friday is National Employee Appreciation Day. And they wanted to do a promo. And so they sent us $500 in Starbucks gift cards to give to you, or I should say, one lucky winner, particularly one lucky manager. So here's how it works. You can go get all of the contest information over at our website, workitdaily.com/Starbucks contest. I hope I said that right, team. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we'll put the link up as well. But all you have to do is if you're a manager and you love your people, and I know that you do, you just need to get a picture and from your LinkedIn account, post it about your team. You have to use the hashtags that we give you so that we can find it. And you have to tell us why your team deserves $500 in Starbucks gift cards. Okay. It's all you need to do. It's that simple. Doesn't cost anything to enter. All you got to do is caption a picture, put in the hashtags, and tell us why. The company or the manager with the post that has the most likes at midnight on March 6th is going to win all of these. Yeah. So, folks, you're got the inside scoop here right now. Not everybody knows about this. This isn't one of those contests where millions of people are applying. So, here you are. If you are a manager, or maybe you have a manager and you know that everybody on your team would love, love, love to get a Starbucks gift card, then please make sure you go grab that link, send it to your manager, or use it yourself and get in the contest. All right. Literally, it just started. It's a short window. We just launched a contest and it's done tomorrow at midnight. This is your chance. You can slide in hot and you can win $500 worth of Starbucks gift cards. Okay. All right. So, very excited about this contest, as you can tell. And I can't wait to see your entries. So, let's move on though, because today we're talking about good versus bad career experiences. And this came out of a lot of people reaching out to us here on Work It Daily and saying, I've made career mistakes. So I don't believe that fundamentally, and I don't want you to believe that either. And I'm actually going to give you some science today, some brain science around why that's not true and how important it is for you to eliminate this idea that you've made any career mistakes. What you've had is career experiences. You've had life experiences. We all have them. And so what's happening is you as a human have decided to categorize them as positive or negative. Now, this is just normal human behavior. This is pure brain science. There's tons of evidence to back this up. You see, we have a kind of what they call an ancient brain. There's a much faster processor in the front, but the ancient brain is where we store all these experiences. Because if you think about it, if we had to expend a lot of energy every time we experienced everything, we would be exhausted by noon. So what our brain has done is said, when I have an experience, I'm going to categorize it like a card catalog. And when that comes again, I'm going to remember what I learned from that experience and I'm going to apply it here to speed up the process. So this is how every human brain works. And we're designed to avoid pain, to avoid trouble, to avoid negative. So if we think something's negative, then our brain wants to remind us of that. But here's the thing. A lot of the experiences we've had aren't necessarily negative and aren't necessarily bad. And as somebody who's been doing this for a long time, I have been able to show job seekers time and time and again, or people that we're working with to grow their career, where something they interpreted as bad actually ended up providing something good later on. And had they been more open minded about that experience, maybe they could have gotten results even faster. So you have to ask yourself, are you assigning the wrong kinds of emotions to your past experiences, right? So here's my tip, and this is what we have our clients do at Work It Daily. They write out their career story. We have an entire course on this, by the way. So if you join the Work It Daily platform, you have access to all of our courses, 200 hours of video courses. And one of them is about rewriting your career story. And so what you do is you brain dump everything that's happened to you. So if somebody said, tell me your career story, you write out everything. And then we teach you how to go back and assess, okay, what was negative, what was positive. You're going to find usually if you're struggling in your career that there's a significantly higher list of negative things than positive. But remember, this is all your interpretation. Somebody else could have the very same set of experiences that you did and have a completely different outcome, because we are so subjective as human beings in how we interpret things. So what I want you to do is to be able to step out of this career story, because remember, this career story is on autopilot. It's this major motion picture, this epic novel, this soundtrack that you play in your head, and it overpowers everything. So a lot of times people will sabotage their career success, make bad decisions, all because of this soundtrack that's filled with negative interpretations of their experiences. So you've got to change how you think about these negative events. If you want new, different, or better results in your career, you have to essentially rewrite this career story that you've got on autopilot right now, because it's not helping you, it's hurting you. So when you understand this, and this is the thing I want you to take away, if you can map out what you learned, how you grew, and if I can say, look, well, I don't love what happened to me, because that's okay. I don't love what happened to me. I'm not going to call it negative. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to grow from it. That just made me stronger. That just made me better. Good experiences don't do anything for you other than make you feel good. Whereas challenging experiences really put you to the test and help you grow. And when you can rewrite the story and say, gee, I've been, believe it or not, lucky to have had these curveballs in my life, because each time I've come out stronger and they make me better and they make me smarter. This is the power of your career story, and why so many people, when they say I've made career mistakes, end up stuck in a pattern. They continue to make choices that don't work in their favor. They continue to not get the results that they're looking for. And it's really hard the first time they hear that it's them. They say, what do you mean it's not me? It's the things that have happened to me. No, it's how you've interpreted them, and now how you're storing them in your brain and using them to hold you back. So really need to map this out. And again, there's a much more thorough process. I'm not going to take you through that extensively today, because we're going to get to a lot of questions today. But if you are looking for a step-by-step process where you can work with a career coach like myself to, really reveal what's going on in your career story and rewrite it, we have that over at Work It Daily. And you can go over to workitdaily.com and sign up for a membership and start working with your career coaches today on that. But I just have to say, whether you work with us or someone else, folks, if you're someone listening to this today and you're struggling, you're not getting what you're looking for, you're really down in the dumps, that means that your career story with a lot of negative experiences is on, big time autopilot, and we need you to get off that treadmill. We absolutely do. And so whether it's with us or someone else, please, these are the steps that you're going to need to take to change the mindset in order to change the outcomes. Okay? Awesome. All right. So now we're going to get down to the business of taking your questions today. Very excited about that. And we may even take some live questions. So if you are interested in dialing in today, we do this on Thursdays. Feel free, and maybe you can come on live with me, which would be great. But for now, I'm going to start with Stephanie at LinkedIn. Stephanie, hey there. I was recently laid off from my main job as a project manager, but I also serve on the town council as a council member. It is a paid part-time position. Should I put that as my main job now while I continue my search? So, sorry about that. It really depends, Stephanie, because you said that you're a project manager. And if you feel that this town council member role is an extension of your skill sets and something that you want to be doing, then it would make sense to have that listed there. But if it's not, right, then what I worry about is that they're going to see it and go, oh, she wants to be in government. So she's not going to want our job. So you have to think about the visual and the optics. I realize that you're really concerned about saying that you're employed for good reason. For those of you that don't know that, it's common knowledge that people who are between jobs are discriminated against. A lot of people have a mistaken notion on LinkedIn that if they don't have a current job, they're not being picked up in jobs in searches by recruiters. That is not true. That would be illegal by LinkedIn. The profile, the software is always asking you to fill in a job just because that's how it's built. But the truth is, it doesn't matter if you have a job or not. It's whether or not your skills match and the keywords inside your LinkedIn profile match in a way that makes you show up. So it's a whole different thing. If you don't know how to keyword optimize your LinkedIn profile, you really need to do that. But as far as putting the job there, I worry that you're putting that in there and they're thinking, okay, so she left project management. Now she's in doing this government work, and maybe that's what she wants to do. Now, you might list part-time after it so that they can understand that it's part-time, but I just really worry that this is more, more of a something you would put in other experience, or even though it's paid in the volunteer section, for fear that you don't get mislabeled. Not knowing enough about you, I think that the safest bet would be not to put it, just so you know, so that you're not misread. And then really, if you are going to put it, know that you're going to have to be very proactive in who you reach out to so that you can explain it so they're not immediately dismissing you. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Angela over on LinkedIn says, I had several calls from recruiters about the same job. They stated that I was qualified for the job and the interview went well, but I haven't heard back from them, reached out to them, and they're not answering my call back. Yeah, that happens. So it sounds like if you got several calls from recruiters for the same job, then it sounds like it was an agency role. And so I'm guessing here, but usually if it's an internal position, only one recruiter would contact you. So this means that a company has hired a bunch of agencies to hire someone for the role. Whoever you went with, you went through the interview process. The challenge with agency folks, and this is something we have to think about, is they have to put a markup over your salary. So they have to get money and a commission for placing you. So even if you're an amazing candidate for the job, sometimes companies will look for somebody who isn't as good as you, but will end up hiring them because they found them themselves and they save commission on the agency fee. So that's very possible that happened. If they haven't called you back, I did a session earlier this week about recruiters. Definitely go back and look at that session. It usually means that they either have no news, and we hear no news is good news. Not in this case. If you're not getting any news, then it means that either a different decision's been made or there's no decision. What I wouldn't do is pester them too much about it. I know it's hard, but at this point, if you've called and left a message, it's all you can do. It's in their court for them to follow up with you. I would argue just move on and assume that you didn't get the position. And I know that's hard to hear, but when you're hot and recruiters want you, they're all over it because they're trying to close the deal. So if you're not getting a response from recruiters, then that's a sign that you're not a front runner. I'm sorry. And I know that's so hard to hear, but again, if you watch the video that I did earlier this week, I walk you through the signs and help you understand recruiters a little bit better. And I think that'll make you feel better if you watch that, to know this had nothing to do with you. Doesn't mean you're a bad candidate. Doesn't mean you did anything wrong in the interview. A lot of times it's just a set of circumstance. And right now is the most difficult time to look for work because everyone's looking for work. It is so competitive right now. Everybody thinks the grass is greener someplace else, or they're leaving money on the table somehow. So you're up against a lot of competition in this type of market. Now, with the market correction that we've seen over the last week or so, I think we're going to start to see a lot of layoffs, a lot of companies shuttering departments and things like that. That's going to market correct. And then people will stop looking for jobs who have jobs because they'll just want to get through the market correction, which will then make it better for people who are actively looking. But for now, it's super competitive. Don't take it too hard. Don't think you did anything wrong. I would just move on. All right, we have Prati over on YouTube. Hey, Prati. I interviewed with a senior engineer and it went really well, then was asked to visit the company and meet everyone and was taken out for lunch by the president and vice president of the company. What are the chances I will be getting the position or offer letter? Well, it's always a good sign when the president and the vice president take you out. It's a sign that you're in the last stage. They're the economic buyers. They're the people that can say no when everybody else says that they love you and that they want you for the job. So you've certainly got through to the last group of people. Um, Generally, they know very quickly whether or not you're going to be a fit. I think not having been present, I have to ask you how you feel the conversation went. Do you feel like you got to know them better? Do you feel like they were giving you a lot of information? Did they seem very forthtelling and almost trying to sell you on the company? Or was it you really trying to pull stuff out of them? You really trying to sell them? You have to think about the balance of the conversation. Then that takes a lot of emotional intelligence to do, but certainly you're at the last stage. So I would say one way or another, you're going to be given a yes or a no once they've met and talked to the hiring manager and given their 2 cents. So I would say you'll hear something very soon, but I can't 100% predict whether or not you will get the job. But good luck. I hope that you do. Over on YouTube, we've got Tiger. Hey, Tiger. Hey, that's actually funny to say. Hey, Tiger. That's so cool. Uh, I want to say a huge thank you to you, and your advice has helped me secure a new job and something I want to do. Yes, go Tiger. Yeah, that's awesome. So happy for you. Thank you for the shout out. That's why we're doing what we do. So now, okay, one down, 999,999, however you say that, to go, right? You know that we're all about helping a million people. And so that's really exciting to hear. That's what we're talking about. Folks, you're all businesses of one. You're not employees, you're businesses of one, which means you're in business for yourself and you need to own your business 100%. You need to be fully accountable for your business of one because every job is temporary. But you don't have to be in business by yourself. When we come together and we use these tools and resources and you get the right information and advice, that's what you can use to have the confidence to go after your dreams. And so, Tiger, congratulations. Go, Tiger, go. I love it. All right, moving on to YouTube. Paul on YouTube. Hi, how far back should we go with our work history? Great question, Paul. Typically, we tell people 15 years because that's your most relevant experience. Like every rule, there are exceptions. So if there was, for example, something in the 20-year mark that was really important and relevant to the kind of work you're looking for now, let's say you worked for a really big, well-known firm, or you did some kind of key project work that would still be very relevant, then you could go back to 20 years, but I certainly wouldn't go further than 20 years. Most people just assume that experience is dated and that you don't need to have it on there. So 15 is the norm, but you can go back further if it's something super relevant to what you're trying to pursue. Okay, awesome. Let's see what else. Another question: when it comes to mapping out your career experiences, how far back should you go? So that's a different story. So when it comes to your career experiences, you go all the way back to the beginning. Go back to your first memory because we all go back to a starting point. For me, that goes way back. It goes back to when I first started working for my dad at 13 years old. I had babysitting jobs and things like that, but my first legit job was working in his office in the accounting department, putting these little stickers, these little circle stickers on a 3-hole punch paper. Because back then, I can't even believe I'm saying this, they weren't using computers for accounting. Computers weren't a thing yet. And so you have to put these little 3-ring binder things for accounting. They would get worn out and you'd have to put these reinforcements on so the pages wouldn't rip. No joke. I got paid to do that. Literally. That was my first job. So I feel like that point forward it's that first memory. And then you walk yourself through those career experiences, the highs, the lows, the twists, the turns. And then you start to say, how can I make this story better? How can I reinterpret the events of this story so that it serves me? And it's really actually amazing to watch. We did a challenge around this last year. Hundreds and hundreds of Work It Daily members did this as part of a New Year's challenge. And I remember one woman ended up doing a 37-page document. But it was so fascinating and interesting, her storytelling ability and how it shaped her. And it was completely transformed in the end. It was really, really cool. So go back as far as you need to. Don over on LinkedIn says, what's a good way to get out of your head if you've been laid off? I was laid off, and while I know it was true, that it was truly monetary, there is this nagging voice. You know what? There always is. There always is, Don. It's so funny. It's like people can compliment us all day long, but the moment we get criticism, that's the only thing we can think about. So it's no different when we get laid off. Why did some people stay and why did we go? Somewhere in our mind, we see ourselves as less than. And it's not that we're less than. Let me reframe it for you. I've talked a lot about this lately with the coming of the recession. We are all commodities. As a business of one, as a service provider, we are all commodities, meaning there are lots of other people that do what we do. And it's our job to differentiate ourselves in a way that makes it that employers need us and want to keep us, especially in times of restructuring. So I don't want you to take it personally or be hard on yourself. But what I do want you to do is take ownership. Because if you don't take ownership and you say, this was completely out of my control, I'm helpless, you're a victim. You're a victim in your story. Let's keep with the theme of career stories here. And I know you're not a victim, Don. I know that's why you're asking this question. But if you continue to believe that there was nothing that you could do to change the outcome and it just happened, then you're a victim and you're powerless. So I actually want you to say right now to yourself out loud as we're here, I own this. I own what happened. It was a set of choices that I made, a set of experiences I had. I chose to work there. I chose this type of work. I chose this skill set. I chose this job. And this happened. Okay. You're not a bad person. You didn't do anything wrong. You made choices based on the information you had at the time, and the outcomes aren't to your liking. See how different that is? Fully own it, Dawn. I made the choice to work there. I made these choices. Other people made choices that were out of my control, but I made the choice to be there, and I made this, and so it's happened. The outcome is that's what's happened. Okay. But by taking ownership, you get to control the outcome going forward too. Okay, I learned something here. Should have seen the writing on the wall sooner. Probably wanted to pay attention a little bit more. Maybe hedge my bets. Have a contingency plan for the day that this comes because it happens to everybody. Just take ownership for something and say, all right, so now I'm going to do something about it. Now I'm going to move forward. I own it. It's a very empowering thing. I know we try to avoid owning things because we feel like, oh, I'm a failure. You're not a failure. You made choices based on the information you had at the time. The outcomes aren't to your liking. Make new choices. Take new actions. It's gone. It's behind you. There's nothing you can do. I will tell you, people that get better with this and more comfortable with this, they can get up every day and they realize there's always a new day. I can do something else. But if you're going to hang on and say, oh, and I know you're not doing that, Don, but for all of you out there that are sitting there kind of wallowing in this, oh, I feel so helpless, this happened to me and it wasn't my fault and there was nothing I could do. That's not true. You made choices and those were the outcomes. If we could go back in time and armchair quarterback it, of course you'd make different choices. Let's just be honest about that. You made choices based on the info you had at the time, and that's okay. Does that make sense? I hope everyone listening to this, that makes sense. Own it. And now move forward because you got this. I know you got this. All right, great. So let's look to over on LinkedIn, Fuad. I hope I'm saying that correctly. At the end of the year, I had not gotten the expected appraisal from management, which I think is unfair. I feel very disappointed as I was doing very good work and getting good feedback from the client. How should I continue to work in this team? Should I change? Okay. Oh, I love this example. So let's talk about this situation. So you had expectations that weren't met. I'm going to ask you right now, where did you get those expectations? And what kind of assumptions were you making about your situation? So you assumed that because the client was giving you good feedback, that you were going to get a great review. You assumed that. That was your choice. Okay? And a lot of people go, but JT, that's just common. That's just how it works. Want to be safe in life and not be disappointed? Have zero expectations. If you don't set expectations, you can't be disappointed. Disappointment directly comes from not meeting a set expectation in our head. But you set that expectation. And I think it's interesting that you said I got great client feedback. The client is not your only customer here. The management team is your customer. They are the ones that you also should have sat down with in 2019 and said, I'm getting good feedback from the client, but I need feedback from you. I want to have a great review at the end of the year. You are my customer as the managers. Tell me what you need to see from me so that I can earn that great review. That should have happened throughout. And you should have been checking in every quarter and saying, hey, here's what I've accomplished with the client over the last 3 months. Want to make sure that you're happy with that. What else can I be doing? When you're asking your customer, both the external customer and the internal customer, how you're doing and what you can do to meet your goal, now you're working as a business partner. And what I said, you're a business of one. Now you're working as a business partner. You, my friend, and I'm sorry to be challenged, and I know it's hard to hear, we're thinking like an employee, like a helpless, golden handcuffed employee, that if I just do a good job and the client says I'm great, they will reward me. Doesn't work that way. And this is such an eye opener for so many people. You are a business of one. They are your customers. You need to know your customers' needs. You need to check in with your customers, and you need to agree upon what needs to be done in order for you to get what you want. If you set expectations, they need to know about it. You had an expectation for a great review. They needed to know that, and they needed to tell you what you needed to do to get it. And that's the missing piece. And people will say, well, they should have told me. No, you should have asked for it. That's the key. That's where you take the power. That's how you own your business of one. So chop this up to a great learning experience. I think you need to sit down with them and say, hey, I'm going to be honest. I didn't expect that review. I made the mistake and assumed that if I got great client reviews, I would get a great end of the year review. I don't want that to happen again. Can we talk about what I need to do going forward? Because I really want to earn a great review. I want to earn an increase. I'm assuming that came with it. And I want to know what I have to do for you and the client in order to make that happen. That's the conversation you should have. Now, if you have that conversation and they say there's nothing you can do, we just, we think that you did the best that you could and that's what you get. Well, now they're not invested in partnering with you and getting you to that place. So now you know it's time to move on. But I think you're going to be surprised here. I think when you sit down and have an honest conversation with them and give them the opportunity to give you the feedback that you need to, again, set the expectations and be able to achieve them this time. That's really the key. I think a lot of employees don't want to do that. They don't want to hear the feedback. They don't want to hear something negative about themselves. So they just put their head down and try to do their best. And then they're angry when they don't get a good result. Okay. So you can do this. I know it's a little bit of tough love to be dropping on you today with respect to that, but I've seen so many people in your position inside Work It Daily, and I've also coached them through this very conversation only to come back and say, the conversation went so well. I had no idea that they were looking at these other areas. I had no idea how I was coming across. It's all stuff I can fix, JT, and you can fix this stuff. But the only way you're going to be able to fix it is if you have a conversation with them and know what they want. Okay. All right. Good luck. We've got one of our Work It Daily members here, Martin. Hey, Martin. Martin says, after a very intense interview process, I'm so excited to announce that I have just received an offer for a new role. I'm now in the salary negotiation phase. All this could not have been done without your help, JT and team. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I joined Work It Daily. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Martin. We're so glad. We love what we do. So, I tell this all the time. We have people who come in, they've watched us forever. One guy last week messaged me and said, I felt guilty. I got so much value out of your free stuff that I only signed up because I felt bad. I felt like I'd been taking advantage of you, which I thought was so sweet. But then he got in there and went, I had no idea how much you do, that I have my own career coaches I can message, that you have all these tools and templates that I can use, that there's this whole process and there's people I can network with and all this. So it was really funny. But my favorite thing is that people will look for months for a job and get nothing. And then they come in and within a couple of months, they're getting job offers or competing job offers. I literally have somebody I'm working with right now in the program. She has 2 competing job offers at 2 like Fortune 500 well-known companies. I don't want to name drop, but they're huge. And she's like, I can't believe it. Well, you can do this if you know how to look for work, folks. School taught us everything except how to get the job, Martin, right? Back me up on this, Martin. They don't teach you this stuff in school. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not damaged. You're not less than. You just don't have the info. If you have the info, you can get the results you're looking for. It's that simple. So, whether you work with us at Work It Daily, which by the way, we're less than what you spend on coffee each week, and you get a whole month inside our program. We're less than a gym membership. I mean, it's crazy. We're disrupting the entire career coaching industry. Literally, we're the number one career coaching program online. But, even if you don't use us, just get out there and get the help, get the info you need. I'm glad you're here. This is one way to do it. Just get the help, make yourself smarter, work it daily. That's why we're called Work It Daily. You will get the results you're looking for in your career if you're getting that info. So enough hype on that. All right, let's talk to Azima. I got a very negative review during my last internship, so I wasn't retained. I didn't expect it because I thought I put in a lot. So how do I ensure my efforts are seen in a not so see me, I'm here way? Should I settle for just asking for feedback? So I think I need to know more about the fact that you got such a negative review and you weren't retained. You were an intern. So historically, interns do get feedback about their performance because they're interns. That's the whole part. The fact that you didn't get any is very suspect to me. I definitely would say whatever you do in your next role, you want to sit down with your boss and say, I want to make sure that I'm exceeding your expectations. What's the best way for us to communicate on a regular basis so that I can get that critical feedback from you? You want to open that right up. And they might say, hey, every Friday we can meet, or, email me, that sort of thing. Find out that cadence, but you never want to be caught off guard like that again. And again, it's unfortunate because usually in internships, they are giving you that feedback, but for whatever reason, you weren't getting it here. For anyone out there, anytime you get negative feedback and you're fired or you're not retained, again, own it, because it was on us to make sure that the customer was happy. And you might think, well, wouldn't they tell me if they weren't happy? So shouldn't I just assume they're happy if they're not saying anything? If you're not getting praised, if you're not getting compliments, if you're not getting recognized for your work, if you're not hearing, wow, that's amazing, that's exceeding my expectations, then there's a problem. And even if you are getting that, I still would sit with the boss and say, it seems like I'm on track and I'm doing the right thing, but what 3 things could I do to really exceed your expectations? You've got to always be exceeding the customer's expectations. And that falls on us to do. So that's my advice to you, is really start to ask for that and set up a good communication strategy so that you can get that feedback in a timely manner. Laura on YouTube, what is the best way to fill the gap on a resume? I have some advanced degrees, a PhD, 2 masters, and experience. I got divorced, lost parental rights, homeless, and jobless. My resume gap is from 2016. I feel motivated now and invigorated. So that's exciting. I think the first thing, Laura, that's coming to mind is, why are you feeling invigorated now? So obviously some sort of event has happened that's making you feel back in the game. And that's going to have to be worked into your career story. You have a gap. And so traditional methods of applying online are not going to work for you. They don't work for anyone. Yeah, I think you all know that. Less than 3% of people that apply to a job online ever hear back. The applicant tracking systems just toss you. There are too many applicants these days, anywhere from 200 to 1,000 job applicants for jobs that are getting posted right now. It's obscene. It's just crazy. So that's not going to work for you, Laura. And that's okay, because you're going to go around the ATS. What you need to do is tell a really compelling story about connecting the dots, obviously why, you've been out for 4 months, but what do you want to do now? That's less of my concern. My bigger concern now is, what's driving you? What do you care about? What problem bigger than yourself are you focused on solving? What companies are doing that? And how can you deliver value to justify the cost of hiring you, right? This is your business plan for your business of one. So you need the right career tools and the right story about that. And that will help put this 4-year gap in the rearview mirror, and it will give you a reason to proactively reach out to these companies and start the conversations with them to get them looking at you, because they're not going to look at you through traditional channels. You're just going to get tossed. So going around the ATS, putting together really strong career tools, and having a business plan for your business of one, a marketing strategy, is going to be the key. And it sounds like you're super invigorated right now. So now's the time to do it. All right. Good luck. You got it. Michael on LinkedIn is asking, is it okay to take notes during an interview? I have to be honest, I'm not a fan of it, Michael. If you ask, the most important thing is to ask permission. Is it okay if I take notes? And usually I'd say more than half the time they're going to say sure, because they don't want to be impolite. I will tell you right now, if somebody says it, I'll say no. It's so distracting. I want you to think about that. you asked me a question and you start to answer where you're telling me something about the company. Instead of looking at you, I'm like going like this. So, I'm now looking at the top of your head while you're taking notes. It's super disconnecting and it's just not needed. This is a conversation between two people. You should be able to not have to take notes in there. You should be able to relax and just listen. Now, go out in the parking lot when the interview's over and go through your head and write down everything you remember, sure. But no, I'm not a fan of the note taking in the interview only because it really breaks the connection between you and the person you're interviewing with, and that's not good. Let's see. I hope I'm saying this. Omnia. Hey, Omnia. I want to change career paths. How can I translate my skill sets to another job? Yeah. So, very good question. When it really depends. There's two things here because sometimes people want to make a career change and they don't know what they want to do next. And sometimes they want to make a career change and they do know. So if you do know, then it's just a question of looking at those jobs and figuring out what the major skill sets are and then translating your past experience to those major skill sets that are needed for that. But if you don't know, then it's a question of inventorying your skills and saying, of all the things that I'm capable of doing and of all the ways that I create value, what are the ones I most want to use in my next career? Because that's what I need to market about myself. So, if you've been in accounting for a lot of years, but you don't want to do accounting anymore, then you're not going to play up the fact that you've done numbers and bookkeeping and, accounts receivable, accounts payable, reconciliation, because you don't want to do that anymore. But you may want to play up your project management skills, your presentation skills, your training skills, some of the other things that you did. So that's on you to inventory. And we have, in fact, it's kind of funny that you say that, starting next week in Work It Daily, our membership platform, every month, we do a new training that our members can do each day, right? It's a short, fun training they do every day to build a skill. Next month, we're doing how to make a career change. So it's a 3-week course. Every day, you can either join the conversation live or you can watch the recordings, simple exercises for you to do at the end of 3 weeks. You'll have mapped out the game plan for how to change careers. So if you're interested in something like that, especially if you're not sure whether or not what career you want to go into and how to figure that out, then you should definitely go over to Work It Daily and check it out. All you have to do is have an active membership with us, and you can attend any of our courses that we're doing inside the platform. So it's going to be a great class. This is one of my topics that I have spent a lot of time developing tools for over the years, because obviously as a career coach, I've dealt with a lot of career changers. So this is going to be really tool intensive, which is neat. So be sure to go over and check it out. I know the team are popping the links in so you can see it. Hey, over on Facebook. Hey, Michelle. I have a second interview today. I am a really good fit for the role. Do you have any advice on how to successfully close the interview to earn that job offer? Awesome. So, Michelle, here's the thing to keep in mind as you go in there. You are not special. You are not the best. You are unique, and you have a wonderful set of values that make you and experiences that make you believe you can do this job. Your role is to go in there and say, I know that you've got a lot of good candidates. It's got to be difficult to decide which one will do the best job for you. I think it comes down to value. And so here's how I believe that I can really create enough value to give you the return on the investment in hiring me. That's the mental focus that you need to have in this interview as they're asking questions. You need to be talking about how you're going to save or make the money, how you're going to save time, how you're going to be more efficient, how you're going to solve problems, how you're going to alleviate pain. My best advice to you is this: everyone that you interview with today in this final interview is a stakeholder in your employment. And by that, I mean, the reason that they're being included in the interview process is you impact them in some way, right? It's plain and simple. Somehow you will impact them, even if it's indirect. So what you have to ask yourself and what you need to ask them is, how does this job that I'm applying for impact your job? And what can I do in this role to make your job easier? What can I do in this role to make your job better? See how important that is? Because everyone you meet, they're deciding, are you going to make my life harder or easier if I pick you for this job? Are you going to create more work for me? Do you get what we do? Do you understand? So why not just ask them? Why not just say, as you're in the interview process, tell me, what are the most important things that this person is going to need to do in this job to ensure that they're making your job easier, not harder? And you say it just like that. Because what you're saying to them is, I get it. I'm not supposed to come in here and be more difficult. I'm supposed to come in here and make things better. So tell me what that looks like to you and to you and to you and to you, right? To the different people. They will then get to voice what they're looking for in a candidate, and they will associate that with you. And that's how you get to leave that interview knowing that you've definitely given them what they've needed because you asked them and they told you. And then you were able to deliver on that, right? So that's my advice to you. Because again, there's no perfect candidate for a job. And I think it's important to say that. I don't think I'm perfect. I don't think I'm better than. I think I come with a unique set of skills. But I'm more worried about how I'm going to make your jobs better and easier. I don't want to make them harder. So tell me, what does that look like? And go around the room and get that information. I promise you, you'll get great results. Good luck. Let us know how it goes. Hey, Bonita. Bonita on LinkedIn says, I'm coming off of semi-retirement state into the workforce. It's been 3 years since my professional career change. How do I best address this in my resume or in a summary? Yeah, so it sounds like that you were on kind of a sabbatical. And it's always okay. If there was something going on in those 3 years that you were working on, you might want to include that, especially if it was anything maybe not career related, but significant in accomplishment. That can always be good to include there. Most people are going to understand why now. So just so you know, recruiters are notoriously, we're just cynical. We've seen it all. We've heard it all. People have lied to us. We're just reserved. We think the worst. So anytime somebody's been out of work for a while and they're coming back, we assume it's a money thing. And so then the concern comes that if you aren't going to, you're probably going to want to make what you made before, because if we give you a job and something better comes along, you're going to take it. So you're going to be up against some natural bias because you were in semi-retirement and now you're coming out. So people are always going, why? What's the motive here? So the more transparent and honest you can be about your motives is really, really key. You have to be able to do that. And if you do that, if you're really honest with them and it's compelling, they'll be like, okay. But if you dance around it, if you try to like say something you think they'll like, but you don't want to really reveal the truth, they can spot that a mile away. No joke, a mile away. So for you, the first step is to get really clear on the tell me about yourself and specifically what's been going on in the last 3 years in a way that's compelling to recruiters. Otherwise, you're not going to see that traction. It's all about the career story, folks. Coming back to the beginning of the session today, it is all about the career story. All right. Paige says, when somebody asks me, tell me about yourself, what are they really trying to learn? So that is an open-ended question designed to see how you present yourself. We're looking at your personality, your aptitude, just how you interact with other people when we say, tell me about yourself. Also, what do you value about your story? So at Work It Daily, this is a big one. We work with everybody on this, the tell me about yourself question. And we use a framework around the problems that you love to solve that are bigger than you, why you love to solve them and how you solve them and why that's led you to where you are today. So you have to tell this very logical career story that connects the dots as to who you are as a person, what intrinsically, it's called intrinsic motivation, what drives you to do this kind of work and why, what you've built up and why you're good at it. And therefore why you're interested in this next role or whatever you're pursuing. So that's really, really key that you have a great story there. Too many people shoot that from the hip and they absolutely blow it. This is something you should write out, read back to yourself, edit it, write it out again, read back to yourself, edit it, try it on a few people, and just get it to a place where it's easy to deliver. It doesn't sound canned, but it hits on all the points and ends on a high note. So that is something, Paige, I encourage everyone to work on. It's a big, big part of what we do at Work It Daily because we just won't let people get out there. And that's one of those game changers in job search. You got one chance to make a good first impression. And one of the first things they usually ask you is tell me about yourself. If you do not have a good answer to that these days, folks, you're missing out. Every single time somebody asks you that question, whether you're in a recreational setting or a professional setting, wherever you are, when somebody asks you that, if you don't have a good story, you're missing out. Great question. All right. So listen, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Just want to remind you, for those of you that jumped on, don't forget to go check out the contest. If you are a manager, you could win this huge stack, $500 worth of Starbucks gift cards. It's part of the contest we're running with Starbucks. It ends tomorrow night. All you have to do is post a photograph on your LinkedIn profile and share why your team deserves these. You do have to put some hashtags in. So go check out the contest rules. We've got them posted. So you do it right. And the company, or the person I should say, is post with the most likes at midnight tomorrow night on Employee Appreciation Day, National Employee Appreciation Day, will win this ridiculous stack and be able to be the hero of their employees and give them all of these Starbucks gift cards, $500 worth. So don't forget to do that. Also, don't forget, Work It Daily. My members, you know what's going on. Next Monday is the kickoff of our career change class, 3 weeks long. Literally 30 minutes a day. We're going to change your life. You are going to learn and understand the process that you need to take to change careers, whether you want to do it right now or sometime in the future. This is the stuff you need to know that they do not teach you in school. If you are not a member of Work It Daily, today is the day to become one. We are less than what you spend on coffee. We are less than your gym membership. Literally, for pennies a day, you can have your own career coach in your back pocket, working with us, being a part of these classes, getting ahead in your career. We use dentists, doctors, lawyers, accountants, professional trainers, all these people in our lives in order to get the results that we want. But for some strange reason, we don't invest in ourselves for our careers, the thing that literally provides a huge part of our happiness, our self-identity, and our finances. Crazy to me that people don't do this, but we're trying to change it at Work It Daily. We're disrupting the industry by creating this amazingly inexpensive way for you to access good quality, cutting edge career coaching. So go check it out and join us for the career change class. Okay. All right, team. Thank you so much. All right. Head on over workitdaily.com/Starbucks-contest. And also check out workitdaily.com. That's all I've got for you today. Have a great rest of the week, and we will be back next week with more topics. Okay. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.